Samantina, welcome. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, for everyone who's watching, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what you write about.
Yes, so my name is Samantina Zenon. I am an actress and also an author. I write the first book that I have ever written, which is my first debut. It's called Joy, the five lights that clarify your best self. It is a self-help book.
Awesome. That's amazing. Now, when you were writing this book, what were some of the struggles that you had maybe that prevented you from getting started or getting to that final draft?
So my book is a self-help book, but it's also a memoir. So I speak a lot about my own personal experience. And I was raised in a very traumatic home that had domestic violence and alcoholism. So going back to these memories were kind of tough, because it's almost like I was feeling PTSD once all over again. I was having flashback in certain unfortunate moments, but I was feeling like this story needs to be told. I know there are a lot of people out there who are going through these type of things, but they don't know how to speak on it because it's number one too painful for them, and at times it may feel like it's kind of like shameful to had to live certain things in our lives. So I just felt like I'm going to share my story to show people you can be courageous. You should tell your story because that's who you are and that's what makes you who you are.
Absolutely. I love that. I mean, my book is about trauma, so I wrote about my own story as well in that. And it's definitely difficult to share so much of yourself with the world. And I know you mentioned briefly that part of your ability to work through that was saying, like, yes, my story can have an impact, my story can change people. But were there any other mindset shifts that were really, really key for you to help you, again, work through that and get to that final draft version?
Yeah. So for me personally, I spent 3 years going to therapy to heal. So I was not just writing it just to write it. Like I've gotten to a point in my life where I'm in a different space. So I feel like I can share some of the tools that I have used to get to a better place. Because at the end of the day, it's our mindset. Sure, the things that happened to us when we were kids, we were not in control of. But as an adult, we are in control of our future. So that's the part that was very important to me. And that's what really motivates me to write the book.
Would you recommend for someone who is writing somewhat, memoir-like and talking about their past, would you recommend that they fully heal before they start writing about that?
I would highly encourage that because the thing is, if you're writing about something that happens to you, like a memoir, right? In a way, I feel like you have to share your resiliency. How did you overcome it? So if you're still in the process of healing, it may get too emotional for you at times. Even like for me personally, I healed from all of the things that I went through. But when I had to like think back of some of the things that happened, I was like, wow, I can't believe this really happened to me. Like, wow, I'm here today. So I feel like it's best to really heal yourself. So when you're talking about it, it's more like of an empowerment way. It's not like I'm angry because it may come off the wrong way. So it's
Absolutely. Yeah.
definitely
And being able
important.
to have that kind of full circle moment and say, this is how you can heal, this is how you can work through this can be really powerful as well. So
Right.
switching topics slightly to more kind of tactical strategy things, were there any tips that you used for maybe outlining or writing habits or things like that that really, played a role in getting you to that final draft?
Yeah, so I definitely had to write down the outlines. Like, where did I want to start? Like, I know I wanted to start at a specific event that happened in my home. Or one night there was like the storm happening. It was very dramatic. So I thought that was a good place to start because I wanted people to lean in, like, what just happened? So I think a good lean in story that's gonna captivate the audience is always a great place to start. And also, I would say highlight the things that you overcome. Like, in my book, I also spoke about a time where I got fired from this job that I was working really hard on. I think that was very important to share because that's when I discovered, okay, this is more than this job. You actually are still dealing with your childhood traumas. So, like, once again, I call the book The Five Lights That Clarify Your Best Self Through the Pain. So I kind of like show all the steps that I took to lead to me living my joyful life now. And of course, I dealt with different things and I had different experiences. So definitely highlight things that will really have a real point that will definitely solidify your message.
hmm One of the things that I hear a lot from people that I work with is they're like, okay, cool. Well, I have to start with chapter one and then chapter two and then chapter three. Did you write your book in order or did you kind of, write all over the place and then put it together at the end?
Yeah, no, don't try to do it in order. That's when you get stuck. Definitely let it out. Just let it out. I would just write for 1 hour every day. Just write things like whatever that comes to me. Like the most important thing is to have that outline, like what you want to cover, and then you can start at any chapter you want. Because if you're so stuck on that particular chapter, then that's when you're gonna get stuck and not really be able to move on.
Absolutely. It's that perfectionism that creeps in where it's like, if this sentence is not perfect, then I cannot move on to this next sentence. Absolutely.
Right. There's editors. That's what editors are for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So most of the people that are watching this, they are nonfiction authors or aspiring nonfiction authors that are writing their first book, right? They're totally new to this process. They've never done it before. Is there anything else you would tell them that can really help them go from saying, okay, I want to write a book, to having that final draft in their hands?
Just free write. Just write everything that you want. Just let it out. Honestly, like I said, just let it out. And then afterwards, you can focus on the structure. And also, once you write it, don't let your perfectionism hold you back. Because I know that's one thing that I dealt with, because this was my very first book. I was like, oh my God, my imposter syndrome really got over me. And I'm like, am I even qualified to write a book? I'm not like this big English professor. What am I doing? Like, I had all types of negative thoughts. But I'm like, okay, I'm going to just send this to an editor. They'll basically give me guidance from there and let me know what I need to improve on. And that's basically what I did for a month before the book was able to publish.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. Well, Samantina, thank you so much for your time. It was great chatting with you.
Thank you so much for having me.